Hello guys and gals, and welcome to solving by completing the square. So today we're going to take a look at how we can solve a quadratic equation by completing the square. This is going to be broken down into two videos. One, because one video would be too long, and two, I want one video to show the visual representation of what it means to complete the square, and the second video I want to show the algebraic method or process of completing the square by using the visual representation. So in this first video, we're just going to talk about the visual representation. There are a few things you need to write down, but mostly I just want you to watch and focus on how the visual representation of completing the square is going to be what we need to be visualizing when we solve it by using the algebraic method. So here we go. First and foremost, we have been solving quadratic equations. The two methods we have used is by factoring, and the other method is by taking the square root, getting the x squared alone and taking the square root of both sides. Both of these methods are very good methods of solving a quadratic equation. However, sometimes neither one of those methods will work. And if neither one of those methods will work, how do I solve this quadratic equation? Because there are two solutions, but we don't know how to get them if we cannot factor this. And here I'm going to show you factoring is not going to be possible. Take a times c. 1 times 1 is 1. Two factors of 1 that add up to be 4. The only factors of 1 that I know are 1 and 1, and they don't add up to be 4. The other method, by getting x squared alone, does not work because we have this lone x here. So neither one of those methods will work, so we are going to learn how to complete the square. So the key question today that I need you to write down is, how do I solve by completing the square? So write this down so that we can go into the visual representation of what it means to complete the square. So now that you have that written down, I'm going to take you to this portal to Awesome Visual about completing the square. This is an awesome visual representation about completing the square. Now, it's geometrical, so we are going to talk about literally completing the square. So what does it mean to be a square? All sides are equal, okay? We don't want to make a rectangle. We want to make a square, okay? Every angle is 90 degrees, all right? So here we go. Now, we are going to use, for our visual representation, we are going to use what are called algebraic tiles. Algebraic tiles are just puzzle pieces that help us represent algebraic expressions, parts of it. So this algebraic tile is going to represent our x squareds. This tile here is going to represent all our x's, okay? So if I have 5 x's, I'd need 5 of these, all right? So we have our pieces of puzzles, and we're going to go ahead and just get started with using our puzzle pieces and putting them together to form a square. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an expression, x squared plus 4x. I want to complete the square. I want to make these pieces that I have into squares. So I've got an x squared and I got 4 x's. Okay, I'm going to line them up here. Oh, here we go. As you can see, am I making a square? I hope you can see that that is not a square, that's a rectangle. So that is not going to help us complete the square if we're not going to build a square. So I need to figure out how to make these tiles or move these tiles so that I can keep it as a square. So my thought is, in order to keep this a square, I'm going to add equal amounts to both sides. So if I have 4 x's, I'm going to put 2 on one side and 2 down below. Now, as you can see, this is beginning to take the shape of a square. because both of those sides look equal to me. Okay, so now I've got to, what do I need to do in order to complete my square? So if I'm going to complete my square, I need to figure out how many of these little 1 tiles I can bring over and fill them in. Okay, well, I need how many to fill them in? I need 4 to complete my square. So I need to now change my algebraic expression into saying not just x squared plus 4x, but also plus 4. This completes the square. This helps us complete the square. So we need that part in order to complete our square. Okay, let's go ahead and do the next one. I got x squared plus 6x plus blank. So what do I need to complete my square? I've got 3 x's here. I've got 3 x's there so that all my sides are equal. And I need how many of these in order to complete my square? Well, it looks like I need a total of 9 of these to complete my square. So now I know that in order to make my square a perfect square, I need 9 of these to complete it. Okay, let's go on to the next one. All right, so now if I had x squared plus 8x plus something, how many something would I need in order to complete my square? What does it mean to complete my square? So I am going to put 1, 2, 3, 4 x's there, and I'm going to put 4 x's down here. And now I need to ask myself, what or how many do I need to complete my square right there? So if I don't have those little ones, I can just go ahead and draw my grid here of how many ones I would need in order to complete my square. And it looks like if I've got 4 up here and 4 to the side, I will need 4 by 4, which is a total of 16 ones in order to complete my square. All right, so now you need to write this down. So what does it mean to complete the square? Now, if I don't have the visual representation right in front of me, what can I try to focus on what it would look like in my head and figure out how many I would need here in order to complete my square. So if I have x squared plus 10x, I would, to keep my square even on all sides, I'd put 5 up, 5 going down the side, and then I would need a 5 by 5, and 5 times 5 is 25 to complete my square. X squared minus 18x, okay, I would have negative 9. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. I'd have negative 9 going one direction. I'd have negative 9 going the other direction. And negative 9 times 9 to complete my square would be 81. So this will be always positive because 2 negatives always make a positive when you multiply them together. X squared minus 14x, I will take 14 and I put 7 and 7, negative 7 and negative 7, and negative 7 times negative 7 is a positive 49. Now I will take 12x. 12x's, I'd split those in half and I'd do 6 and 6 times 6 would be 36. So completing our square, figuring out how many ones I will need to complete my square is really the visual representation of what we're doing today. So we need to use this to finish the process in the next video. So I'm going to have you end this video and open up the next video so we can work on finishing up that process. All right, see you in a minute.